Welcome to the inaugural episode of the Not So Ball Knowers. I am the host, Jonathan Toy, and along with my co-host, Jackson Beecham. Jared Smith is the producer. Honestly, I'm only expecting friends to listen to this first episode. So all 5 of our friends listening, this episode will probably be terrible. If you do not know us personally, then I suggest you stop listening right away and skip to whatever episode when we're good. But for the first episode, I have zero expectation that anyone will listen to us outside of friends. And even then, I'm skeptical how far they make it in. I can see Nick Favis already turning it off at this point. Anyway, I've been talking for a while. Jackson, co-host, how are you doing?
Man, Jonathan, I'm great. Happy to be here. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I know, we've had a lot of meetings about this, trying to figure out what this was going to look like. And obviously it's a constant, ever evolving product, right? But I think it'll be a good outlet. It's funny you mentioned people who are going to actually listen to this. Obviously I'll shamelessly plug it to all of my friends here in Virginia. But, I told my wife, Emma, I was like, yeah, you've got to make sure to listen to it. And she just gave me the funniest look right before I came in here to press record. But yeah, super excited. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, going to be a good outlet to discuss our not so hot takes, since we are the not so ball knowers. I know we both know a lot about sports, so or like to think we know a lot about sports.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, I really don't know as much. I don't really know anything about sports. I like watching sports. I loved University of Tennessee athletics. I graduated from there, but I did not play sports. I stopped playing at high school, and even then I warmed the bench. I did not play college sports. I did not play sports at a high level. So if you're listening to this to get some X's and O's breakdown, you can stop listening, because I really know nothing. I just, like Jackson, I said, we started this podcast because our wives were tired of hearing us about sports. And this is kind of a fun way for us just to talk ball and maybe see if other of our friends want to listen, and maybe other people find us interesting or are listening on their drive to work or stumble upon us accidentally. So, but anyway, I'm excited to start this podcast.
Absolutely. And I think ones and twos, man, we've got Jared running the ones and the twos. We're going to let him pop on and say a thing or two as well. Just a little quick intro.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this. My one thing I'll say is my wife already told me I can't say anything that will get me canceled, so I have to be very careful about that.
We also endorse that.
Yeah,
No
I mean, of
canceling.
course, we're going to edit everything out of it after that could possibly say that. Tonight, I'm not going to be on here at all, if any, because I have twins and they are freaking out right now. But really excited for this. When Toy put it out there that he was down to do it, and Jackson said he had podcast experience, I was really excited. Jackson said podcast experience as if he'd made $10 million. It turns out he had 2 really crappy podcast episodes from 2020.
Yep.
So, pro podcaster, but more than I've ever done. Other than being interviewed in a handful of podcasts, I've never produced it. But, PhD in computer science, that means I'm basically a dumbass, but I should be able to figure it out.
Whoa, language, Jared, language.
We can cut that out. Can't, I think you can say the word. I think you can say.
No, I'm pretty
public
sure we
television.
can give ourselves a PG-13 rating and
All
say
right, okay. We'll let it slide. It's our first episode. But
I know that I will have some heated takes at times when there might be some profanity.
no, what was I going to say? Wow, we're already off to. No, I was just going to say I am not above pandering to anyone. So if I'm a Tennessee grad, but if I find out, Jackson, that a lot of our listeners are Vandy fans, I will get Clark Lee on the show and I will start carrying water for Vanderbilt. If there's a chance we can make money from this, I will pander to the crowd, unless they're racist or awful people. But if they're Vanderbilt fans or Alabama fans, I will pander to them if they're listening.
Yeah, I absolutely will too. Those of you who don't know, I have very strong ties to the state of Texas, despite living in Northern Virginia. I went to the Texas Christian University in Fort Worth, Texas. I hate Baylor and I hate SMU, and I strongly dislike Texas Tech. I say strongly dislike because my pastor went to Texas Tech and he's a pretty cool guy. But anyways, I definitely promise this is not a Tennessee podcast or a TCU podcast. I did play a lot of sports in high school. I spent quite a while in the professional golf space after school, and did not play professionally, but taught the game of golf professionally, ran the game of golf from a professional standpoint. So I'm not currently as involved in that space as I was, about 2 years ago, but still very versed, I'd like to say, but definitely an amateur enjoyer of pretty much all sports. Mega baseball fan. Very, very, I watch a ton of football, way more college than NFL. Let's run through. Let's go ahead and let's give our fandoms real quick so everybody kind of knows what camps we lie in for our pro and our college teams.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I know your fandoms, but I'll have you go first.
All
List,
right.
and I want you to list like from least important to like most important.
So least important for me is probably NBA. I love basketball, love watching basketball. I just don't really have a team. For a while there, I followed the Grizzlies. I was a big Desmond Bane fan, seeing as how he went to TCU and he played for the Grizzlies for a while, no longer with them. So, I followed them, but not so much anymore. Obviously, I keep up with what's going on kind of in the NBA, but I don't watch a ton of NBA. I watch a lot of college basketball though. So it's probably least for me there. I would say second least important is NHL, although I do pretty religiously follow the Carolina Hurricanes. My wife Emma is from North Carolina, so I do follow the Hurricanes. I followed them before I met her, coincidentally. But yeah, don't watch a ton of hockey. I'll watch the playoffs if the Canes are in it and doing something. But, I have them favorited on my ESPN app so I can keep up with what's going on there. I would say next would be NFL. Love professional football. I am a tried and true miserable Dallas Cowboys fan. It sucks being a Cowboys fan. I have so many opinions that I'm sure we will get way into on further episodes, so I won't go into details. Let's see. Next after that, if we're sticking with professional sports, would probably be MLB. People are going to think I'm just a quintessential bandwagon fan, but just a huge Yankees fan. I am just a massive Yankees fan. I went to opening day on my honeymoon. My wife and I honeymooned in New York City, convinced her to go to opening day. Was raised a Yankees fan. My dad's a Yankees fan. Promise I'm not a bandwagon fan. I do have family that lives in New York City who are also Yankees fans. And then obviously just with my background, professional golf, PGA Tour, I keep up with what's happening across all of professional golf. I know there's some very hot opinions right now of what's going on in the professional golf world with split leagues and, things like that. Pretty big Rory McIlroy fan. I obviously being in that space, have gotten to meet some pretty cool professionals throughout my time in that world. The game of golf gave me so much. So obviously it's number one. So that's a long-winded way of giving my rundown, but I'm curious to hear yours and who your teams are.
Mine are a lot shorter. So basically, NBA, MLB, and golf and hockey are all kind of on the same level where it's like I'm kind of a casual fan for both basketball and hockey. I'll watch in the playoffs. Same with baseball. Love October baseball. I will follow the Braves because I'm in a group message with like all of my friends from UT are Braves fans. So I have to hear them complain all year. They're already mad because one of their players like got hurt slipping on ice or something. But like I said, not my thing. So I don't really know the whole story behind that.
Right.
For me, it's like mainly college sports. So, and then I'll rank like college sports. So baseball, Tennessee baseball is probably number 3.
Okay.
And then 1A and 1B for me is like football and basketball. I love Tennessee football. I absolutely love Rick Barnes and Tennessee basketball. You will not hear me say a single critical thing about Rick Barnes on this podcast. I will complain about him in a game in the heat of the moment, but great Christian man, love him. Rick, if you're listening, you can be a guest on this show anytime. And that's basically it. Is like for NFL, I am a Titans fan. I'm a very casual fan. I will watch the games. I'm excited about Cam Ward though, because thanks to Cam Ward, the Titans went from being like awful and boring to like they were pretty fun, and they're still awful, but they at least were not like a snooze when toward the end of the season Cam Ward made some exciting plays, and I kind of like their But Tennessee sports are my main love, unless and like even if Vanderbilt fans like this, like I'm sorry you have to hear that, but I will still pander to Vanderbilt. But I can never say anything bad about my Tennessee Volunteers. That's where I went to college. My grandfather taught there. My sister went there. My mom got her master's degree. I'm born and raised in Tennessee, Vol through and through. And yeah, that's why I love Rick Barnes so much, because he
Yeah.
represents Tennessee really well. It's been there. His players never have any. Oh yeah, we can talk about college basketball later. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Right, right. I love it. I mean, and I'm the same way with TCU sports. And again, I know this is not a respective podcast to our respective or a sports podcast with our respective schools, but I'm the same way. I mean, my grandfather and my dad both went to TCU as well, and so it runs deep, as I know it does with you, and we're both passionate. As if our group chat were to ever be seen, there's a lot of passionate takes during football season, SEC versus Big 12, and me constantly always forever being the little brother. And that's just the role that I'll play as a TCU sports fan, but it's fine.
Also, producer Jared will just like strangely antagonize you. We'll have like a pleasant Saturday and he'll be like, yeah, the Big 12 sucks. TCU sucks.
Yeah, I'll be drinking a cold beer on my couch, and Jared comes in and says the most off the cuff anti-TCU, anti-Big 12, and he knows that I can't resist just being a keyboard warrior. So,
Well, I did have, felt bad about it that time that I, crapped on you so hard that were really down about it for a day. So
yeah,
I
it's
did then
okay.
place bets on, $10 bonus bets on TCU to one, win the Big 12, two, make the playoffs, and three, win the championship. And we know how that went. But hey,
Yeah,
there's always next year.
there's always next year. We'll get into all that with our recapping college football and talking about teams that are actually relevant instead of both of our teams who went 8-4 in the regular season.
So, fun fact, Jackson, I actually know someone who worked, like, I think he was actually pretty important in like TCU's higher up. If this podcast gets good, I'm not sending him this episode because I like him too much. And like, I don't want him to like judge, but like, if this podcast gets good, I will send it to him. But yeah, I talked to him recently. I actually covered him when I was a sports writer in Texas. He went to TCU, got his degree, and then started working for their NIL fund, and now he
Nice.
started something different. I don't wanna out him in case this podcast
Right,
get like, when we get up to 400K views, people are inevitably going to listen to this
right.
first
I
episode and
love
be
it.
like, "Wow, they were really bad before they got in the groove," and I don't want our 400,000 listeners to, like, know the identity of this man, but anyway, he's a great guy. Yeah, so I know several TCU grads.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Well, cool. Well, I know we've got a long list of stuff to get to here, Jonathan. So, let's dive right in. I know we've got kind of the two biggest pressing things in the world of sports right now. Obviously we know who's going to be in the Super Bowl. As upset or happy as some people may be, and we just had a very important national championship game. Which one do you want to dive into first?
We can do NFL since that's more recent, and I think college football would be a longer discussion anyway.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
We're both NFL casuals, but I feel like you have to I feel like you have to, if you're gonna do a sports podcast, you have to acknowledge the Super Bowl. I would actually really like to thank, like, I think divine intervention. I think God really did us a favor for the AFC Championship game, and I'm being serious because he's like, "Hey, Bo Nix is out. This game's gonna stink. Let me give a snowstorm." And that was the most entertaining part of that game, having to
Absolutely.
see having to see them kind of like navigate playing in the storm and like watching super successful NFL kickers just like shank. Um, I was really hoping the Denver kicker, man, I'm bad. I don't know his name, but I'm not a professional. No, no worry. And I'm also have a son, so I can't know everything. But I really wanted that kicker to make that field goal in the snow. Like I was pulling for Denver, but I mean, I just always think it's fun. I don't know about you, Jackson, but um, I always enjoy watching games in the snow, and that was a blizzard.
Yeah, that was sick. Snow games are great. I did not get to watch a ton of the game. We were having pretty adverse weather here in Virginia that day, as well as I know you were in Tennessee. So between that and also it kind of being the first legitimate golf tournament of the year with Scotty Scheffler being in the lead, which we can talk about that towards the tail end of the episode. But I was pretty locked into some golf. Not gonna lie. I mean, obviously I was keeping up with what was going on, but yes, it was a great game. Hot take or not so hot take, I don't know. This whole movement with the NFL pushing to have coverings on stadiums or a roof or a dome, or I don't love it. And I know more and more people are going to it. And, obviously Washington Commanders, like they're going to move to it with their new renovation of that stadium right there on the river. And I get it. I understand it. I understand the logistics behind it. But you're right. Like a snow game is great. And to lose that will suck. That's why I admire the hell out of the Bills for still leaving, the playing surface is going to be open to the elements of Buffalo, which I think is great.
My hot take, Jackson, is I just don't really like new football stadiums. Like it's the same with baseball. Like, yeah, I'm trying to think of like, yeah, Truist Field. I think that's the Atlanta Braves. It's nice.
Yeah,
It's cool. It's nothing compared to like Wrigley or Fenway.
right.
Like
Of
in
course.
theory, it may look a lot nicer, but like if you gave me a choice, okay, you have free tickets. You can either go to Fenway or the Braves Park. I am choosing Fenway 100% of the time. And it's the same with football stadiums. Like, I mean, you can even like renovate it and make it look better. Like, I like what they did with Soldier Field. Like, instead of building a new stadium, they just renovated a historic one. And it's like the Bears was a great home field advantage. Like, I was kind of bummed when they lost just because, no offense to all five of the Rams listeners, but like, it's just like the Bears have a great fan base and Soldier Field is a great home field environment. Same with Lambeau. I think it's kind of sad, or when like they just, instead of renovating old stadiums, I'm kind of like having the ones that are really old and really ancient.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you fully. I think again, I think it's like I will say this though, like as far as modern stadiums go, the venue where we're gonna have the Super Bowl this year is one of my more liked venues in the NFL currently. I think the 49ers, if I'm not mistaken, that's where the Super Bowl is. Like
You
they've
mean
got a
with the
great venue.
substation next door that makes players get hurt? That's all I've heard about it.
I have heard that too, but I think it's a cool. I think it's a sick stadium. I like how vertical it is on the one side. I don't know. I just personally,
It's unique.
it is. It's yeah, and I like the uniqueness of that. Like the same thing you said with Soldier Field toy. Like I don't know. I'm with you. And to bring us back in, like I think, and I have zero dogs in the fight when it comes to what's going on with obviously like I know who's playing, but I don't really care who wins. My boss is like a diehard Pats fan. So, if the Pats win, he'll be really, really happy for like the next month, and work will probably be pretty chill because of it. But, other than that, I really don't have a dog in the fight.
Yeah, I mean, I feel so bad for your boss. Like they went on a 6-year drought of not making the Super Bowl. I can't imagine how tough it was for Patriots fans to endure that drought. I'm just glad that their nightmare is over and they finally get to experience success again.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure he would totally say the same thing as that. All right, well let's get into let's get into some predictions. Does Drake May ball out? What's going to happen? I don't think we need to go into like crazy depth, but let's get a score prediction and obviously a winner.
I think the Patriots win because I think like the Seahawks look awesome. They're going to be the favorites. And I'm picking the Patriots because those are the games that Vrabel wins. When he was with the Titans, like he would always like have like the upset more often than not. And then he would lose to like the Jets or the Bengals as the 1 seed. But
Right, right.
when it comes to getting with like a game plan, like he is a great coach. He, I don't know. I just think since everyone's picking the Seahawks, I think this is a type of game where, Vrabel ball control. The Patriots, against Denver went on a 10-minute drive to kick a field goal. By the time finished the 10-minute drive. It was pouring down snow, so there was no chance Denver would score. So he played conservative the whole way. If you watch Vrabel, when he has a good roster, he has such command of the game. This is me talking out of my butt, by the way. Like, I'm as a not so ball knower, but I do think Vrabel's a good coach, and I think he finds a way to pull the upset 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, what he's done in the short amount of time that he's been in New England has been super impressive. And I'm with you. I'm picking the Patriots. My score prediction is 24-17 Pats. I think it'll be a close game. I think it will be a very defensive heavy game. I think both of those defenses are primed to have it be a defensive struggle, which I like. I respect teams that have a great defense, and I enjoy watching that side of the football. But yeah, I think it'll be relatively, I mean, I know, low scoring is, it depends on who we're talking about, but I like, like a 24-17, even a 21-17 game, something like that. And the Pats come out on top.
Yeah, I agree. And speaking of Vrabel, one thing I also really like is his physique. Like, I'm watching myself on video and I'm cringing because the camera really does add 10 pounds. Like, I need to hit the gym, but like you see Mike Vrabel over there, and like you can tell that guy like doesn't skip the gym. Like
Yeah,
he looks
absolutely.
like in the gym at 4 in the morning. And yeah, that's another thing that I like about a coach is when they look good on the sideline. And Vrabel looks really good. He looks like a professional meathead, which is I think like what I want to be when I grow up. Like someone who looks like a meathead, but also smart.
Right.
You
Right.
know what I'm
Yeah.
talking like someone is like he looks like a meathead, but like he is very intelligent and knows what he's talking about. Like that is like I think the ideal male. Like I think that is the ideal male is someone who is ripped, but also thoughtful and can think through things.
I just want to look like Pete Carroll when I'm Pete Carroll's age, just like dude's kind of a silver fox, still looks great, just chewing gum on the sidelines. Like that's what and I know he's not obviously still the Seahawks coach, but that's what I want to look like as I age. I want to age like Pete Carroll.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I just want to get to Pete Carroll's age if we're being honest.
Yeah, yeah, that works too. That works too. Well, cool. Well, anything else? I mean, we'll have another episode before we get to the Super Bowl. So we can obviously dive in a little bit more then. But do we have anything else that we want to add as far as Super Bowl is concerned?
No, because we already reached the 25-minute mark of this podcast. So I think we've adequately covered the NFL and I'm sure people have already turned off the podcast, but I had fun talking about it. So that's
Hey, I listen to podcasts that are like an hour and a half on my way to work. So, and I don't turn them off. So I think we're good. I think if we like get, if we're right at an hour or a little bit over, I think we're golden.
oh, I agree.
We're golden. All right, well then we got to dive into all those folks in Bloomington, Indiana who are just hooping and hollering and celebrating not only what once was a natty in basketball but now a natty in football. And obviously this is not just I don't want to just talk about Indiana. I want to talk about the state of college football. What I think is a broken state of college football. So let's dive in. This is going to be a good topic.
Yeah, this is a great topic because we obviously care the most about college football. And like the topic was like college football. Does it suck now or is it more popular than ever or both? And that was the question I have is does college football suck? There's a lot of reasons to think that it does, with like players basically being mercenaries. You hear all these like NIL rumors, you hear players like jumping from one school to another, but then you can't really say it's completely dead because I don't think, like, no matter how great of a coach Signetti is, I don't think you get this Indiana story without the transfer portal.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
And people obviously like you can't it's hard to say college football sucks when you look at the ratings and the ratings like 30 million people watch the college football. I think it was one of the most watched games ever. And a lot of it was the Indiana effect. Like the Rose Bowl got like record ratings.
Yeah.
I don't all the numbers atop of me, but like pretty much every Indiana game, all eyes were on the Big Ten most viewed championship ever. And
Yeah, absolutely.
even outside Indiana, like I think the Pop Tart Bowl got like records for like most like non uh bowl. So
Yeah, the
Jack,
the
I
Pop-Tarts
told you
Bowl, a lot of the non-CFP bowls had really good ratings, and yeah, I mean, I like that you that you phrased it that way. Does it suck or is it more popular than ever? I think it absolutely is more popular than ever. I think what they're doing to, I can remember, watching CC games and Big 12 games with my dad on the couch, and basically knowing I was committed to 4 hours or maybe a little more. And the fact that we've, with the way that they're doing, clock management and things like that from a rules standpoint, like the product is a little bit more approachable than it was 10 or 15 years ago. And I know that that's a silly thing to dive into first, but like there's a lot of things that are happening in college football that are making it better for the viewer. Better for the casual fan, the fan that is not on message boards like you and I are on a Saturday. I mean, there's a lot of people who aren't on Reddit and on, just on. I mean, I know that I'm on Horned Frog Blitz, like reading up TCU stuff during games, and like I think that that's good, right? If I can sit down on my couch and know that a sporting event is going to be 3 hours versus 4 plus, I think that's good. Now, here's where I will say that, you heard me use the word broken, earlier. I do think it's broken. Do I think that NIL is bad? No, I don't. I think that it was long overdue, but I think that we have to figure out some way to not necessarily regulate the amount of money that is exchanging hands, right? I don't think that's necessarily part of the problem. I think that if you are bringing in millions of dollars of revenue to, potentially even more millions, hundreds of millions of dollars to a university in revenue by selling tickets and concessions and merchandise and value, TV deals, X, Y, and Z. Do I think the players need a chunk of that? Absolutely, they do. Now, do I think it's okay for a player to say 1 year how uber committed they are to a university, how they absolutely love that city, things like that, and then 6 to 10 months later, just because things don't quite go their way, basically piecing out. That's where and I say that coming from a spot of loyalty, right? And by no means do I mean this to be an anti NIL, because I like I said, I think that we need to have it. I just think that there's gotta be some regulation with this damn transfer portal, because if there's not, it's going like it's like G League NBA. I mean, we're just watching these kids play 2, 3 years max before they hop in, they're in the draft and they're playing at 2 or 3 schools in that 2 or 3 year period, which I understand that's just the landscape of college football right now. But I think that there's, like if I were offered $1 million to go play football at X university, but then Y university says, hey, we can do this. There needs to be some regulation. There needs to be some more strict. There needs to be some continuity. There just needs to be something done from a legality standpoint between the universities, the NCAA. Like there's got to be some regulations. It just can't be this free for all. That's a long-winded way of me. That's where the broken comes from, So yeah, I'm curious to hear your response.
my response to is that like I agree, and like I think that like college football has been breaking or has been like stinking or getting worse since like the 1950s. My grandfather told me, when I was talking to my grandfather when he first started teaching at UT, he was like, yeah, every game was at 1 because they didn't have lights. So every game was at 1. People showed up And like there was no expectation of winning a championship. Like you just rooted for it because it was your community, your school. And like the biggest goal for Tennessee was beat Alabama, it maybe win the SEC and get to play in the Sugar Bowl at the end of the year. Like there's only 5
Right.
bowls. There were all these unrealistic expectations and money pouring into the sport.
Right.
It just seemed a lot more wholesome, and I think it's been getting like more and more commercialized and like more and more broken as like the more popular it gets. If you think about it, the more popular it gets, the more people like us start to like make football like an idol, or you get more like fanatic fans. And I think that's kind of where I think that's when you're kind of seeing like college football be broken, because I don't want to be a hypocrite. Like Jackson, if I was a billionaire, I would be like the Texas Tech guy. Like I would be spending so much money on NIL. Like if somehow I came into $1 billion, um, I will say it's a little disappointing that they probably are going to have regulations before our producer Jared inevitably becomes a billionaire.
Yep.
Like when he sells, like I think he has like 5 companies right now. Um, and like he's gonna sell one of them and become a billionaire. And like I just think Jared, the college football booster, would be so funny. Like I could see him texting our group messages like, yeah, like the coach said they wanted this quarterback, so I paid him $15 million. Don't tell Kaylee though. Like Kaylee wanted that money to like go to like a hurricane relief fund or to like build an orphanage. But like I just want to win a national title before I die. So I spent 15 million on this quarterback. Hope he's good.
See, the thing is, should we spend the 15 million as a school? Should we be spending the 15 million in a sport where we know we could basically buy a championship
Well,
versus 50 million in football where we're going to get Texas A&M and, you know, those schools down there with landman money that are just going to purchase every NFL player for their roster?
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing is that that's why I think the Indiana story is so cool, because if you think about it, like before this year, I think that's going to be changing. I think Mark Cuban's going to start spending more. Like their NIL ranked pretty low. Like they just
Yeah.
nailed
A lot of 3 stars on that team, man. A lot of 3 stars.
Kurt Signetti just nailed every, like, it wasn't really NIL. He took advantage of like the transfer portal and he found a lot of diamond in the roughs. And I think that's why people liked college football now, or why it's more popular, because it's very easy to get cynical about football. Like Indiana, they didn't really have a booster like paying their players. They were a likable team. They played really hard. They went from being like like the losingest program to like beating down everyone. Their quarterback was really likable. So I think people are jealous of Indiana because it's not really fun watching a school like win a national title before you do, like Indiana. But it's also a cool story. And I think that's going to make college football more popular, because you are going to see a lot of fan bases be like, hey, well, if we hire a coach like Signetti, maybe we'll be good. And talk about like give Vanderbilt credit. Like, I mean, Clark Lee nailed the transfer portal. Diego Pavia was a great find. We're not going to talk about his character issues in case we get any Vanderbilt listeners. I'm just talking about him as a football player, but Vanderbilt was a really good team. Miss Their coaching staff did a great job. So I think you see a lot of teams that didn't have much success. And I do think that before the NIL era, college football was getting stale, because Jackson, I did my research before this. From 2011 to 2020, there was a total of 9 different teams played in the national title.
Okay.
And now, so let's go just like half a decade. So this half decade, 2025,
Okay.
how many teams like played for unique teams played for a national title?
More than that.
The same 9.
9. Okay.
It took half a decade to reach the amount of like unique teams
That we've
in
done
the
yeah.
past in the past era before NIL. Like basically it was like Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Clemson.
Right.
All the good schools went there, and like they couldn't transfer. So basically all the diamond in the roughs that Kurt Signetti found, instead of like playing at James Madison or Toledo or like playing there, they could be like, hey, you're not highly recruited, but like we'll offer you a scholarship as a 3-star.
Yeah.
You'll redshirt your first year. So like you'd see that like Clemson and Alabama both had 3-stars who redshirted their first year. Their second year they played mainly on special teams. Third year, they were like a backup in blowouts. And then like when they were a redshirt junior, they were awesome because they were coach. And now like those teams don't have that advantage anymore. Like instead of like sitting the bench at Alabama under Saban or under Kirby, they could be like, hey, I can get NIL money to play at a Kentucky or
Mhm.
Iowa. So there's a lot more parity, and I think that's why you see more of the old head. Like I think Saban would have been really good with NIL. Like I think like Signetti, he would have been able to like nail the transfer portal because Saban's a really smart guy. I just
Right.
think Saban was like, I'm tired. Like I'm 70. Like I don't want to relearn the system. I already won. I'm already the greatest coach of all time. I'm just going to retire. I don't want to deal with it.
Right, right. I think Saban's very happy with his life on camera, doing game day and commercials and everything in between.
And he gets to spend more time with Miss Terry, who seems like a wonderful woman
She does.
by
My
everything.
grandmother, who's an Alabama grad, would agree with you there, Toy.
So Miss Terry, if you ever want to get on this podcast, you're
We'd
always
love to
welcome.
have you. Open mic ready for you, Miss Terry. We would love to hear your takes.
But yeah, like if I'm Saban, I'm like, I'm spending more time with my wife and getting paid a lot of money to like talk ball. And he's
Yeah.
but I guess that just like goes back to my point is like when you had Nick Saban, like college football wasn't fun in the mid decade. Like I kind of knew when Tennessee stunk, I kind of knew their roster. I was like, all right, I know these players, I know they're maxed. And like I just could like pencil in like losses and like, college football doesn't really get fun that way. Like, I had to get excited about playing in the ReliaQuest Bowl or, the
Right.
Packer.com Bowl. Like, I had to pretend to be excited we recovered an onside kick against Indiana before Signetti. Now there's a little excitement because now it's like, all right, we got some players in the portal. I don't know how good they're gonna be. It's gonna be exciting to find out. And then you
Right.
also don't know how, like, maybe Alabama crashes and burns next year, or maybe Georgia doesn't work out, or maybe we're like the Old Miss or Vanderbilt where everything
Right.
clicks and we have a good season. So,
Right.
and I think you probably feel the same way as a TCU fan. Like I feel, well, TCU was really good. Like when Tennessee stunk, TCU was really, really good under Gary Patterson. But before NIL, I bet like if you didn't have a good roster, you probably knew like, okay, we're gonna lose to Oklahoma and Texas, or we're gonna lose to these teams. Like there probably wasn't as much intrigue.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like what kind of springboarded TCU back into the mainstream we obviously had some success in the late 80s, early 90s, that sort of thing. Then there was some really not good football played. And then, bringing Gary Patterson on, who, congratulations, is the new defensive coordinator for Southern Cal. Happy college football's better when Coach P, who I have met 3 different times, wonderful human being, absolutely so down to earth. Love you, Coach P. Maybe you'll listen to this one day.
He's also welcome on the podcast, by the way.
You are always welcome, Coach P. I apologize for that one time my mom awkwardly hugged you at the Paul Bear Bryant Coaching Awards when you won Coach of the Year, but as a young lad, getting your autograph was pretty cool that same day. Anyways, side note, yeah, I mean, like, 2007, 2008, 2009 TCU was a hell of a good time to watch play football. Andy Dalton slinging it all over the field, tearing up the Mountain West, which Jared loves to make fun of when we played in the Mountain West. But
That was
You
really the
you just
best.
got to go to Wikipedia, and every time you're like Big 12 so good, TCU the best, and you look and it's like, I was already in middle school when TCU was still slumming it in the Mountain West or the,
They were good.
whatever.
well, we were slumming it in the Mountain West, but we still won a Rose Bowl over a really good Wisconsin team, which then got us an invite to the Big 12. And we've had
The same Wisconsin team that just gets absolutely destroyed by any SEC team they still play to this day.
yeah, they were really good that year. Toy can attest.
I mean, yeah. The thing is, I still live the moment at Toy's wedding. And Toy was not really paying attention to the wedding. We were all just glued to our phones,
Yep.
hoping that simultaneously TCU would win for Jackson's sanity,
but
but
also
also they
lose to
find a way
Texas
they would
Tech.
lose
Yeah.
so that Tennessee in that season 2022, could
Yeah.
actually have a chance.
They were down a lot of that game too.
At that time, they didn't need any TCU to lose because Tennessee just had to beat Georgia and they would be in like the playoffs. But we all know how that went.
Yeah. But but I mean, back to the point that you were making, Toy. Like, it was a lot of fun to watch TCU not basketball, TCU football from like the years of 2009 to, I mean, when Gary Patterson left, and then even when Sonny Dykes has come in, and Sonny Dykes came in at a time when the transfer portal was just kind of blossoming and starting to bloom. But um, and it's almost like you mentioned that word parity. Like, that's a great way to say it. Like, there's so much parity across all of the Power Four conferences. Like, and with the way that the playoff is structured now, like, it almost feels like, you could have, a 10 seed team just get hot at the right time, just like you do in March Madness. And I mean, I don't think people, had Miami like marked as this team that was just going to absolutely go in and go toe to toe with some other really, really good teams. I mean, that Ole Miss game was nuts. One of the most exciting finishings to a college football game this season, with everything that was happening with Lane Kiffin, who I have my opinions on Lane Kiffin. I will not be a jerk to Lane Kiffin on this podcast. I have my opinions. Lane Kiffin, if you're listening, I'm sorry. I have my opinions, not about you as a person, but the way that you coach. But just with what was happening with Ole Miss, where they were, the transition in coaching, rumors of transfer portal and everything that was going on, and then for Miami to go toe to toe with an Ole Miss team that was like obviously playing with a very, very, very large chip on their shoulder was awesome. And I think that the playoff was great. I mean, it was all like, me living here in Virginia, people were pumped up to see JMU, even though I know they got beat, but they still, they still hung 30 plus on a really good Oregon team that beat the brakes off what everybody thought was a good Texas Tech team, which again is just another mark against the Big 12. I'm digging myself in a Big 12 hole here, but yeah, the parity's great. I enjoy the parity. I think that adds to the intrigue. Each season is like, who's going to be that dark horse? I mean, I think that's a good thing for the sport for sure.
Also, have you heard any rumblings? I agree with all that. My cat is just bugging me, so
You're good, man.
I think it's part of the appeal of this show, though, is that we're both animal lovers, and
I've got my cats kicked out of the office right now, but yes, I do. I've got two as well.
yeah, we can't really kick them out because like she would start mewing really loud. But yeah, this is
Right.
Pippin. But
What's
yeah,
up, buddy?
but yeah. So for college football, do you have anything else? I think we basically covered it. Is that they need to get NIL in gear, even though I would like to see Booster Jared in action. I would just love to see like Jared's like text to like Coach Heupel during a game. Like Heupel like gets back to the game and like opens his phone and it's just like 50 texts from Jared and it's like, what? I spent $15 million on this quarterback. He's awful. And then it would be like, oh, never mind. I guess he's good.
Right. Yeah. No, I don't have a ton else to say. I will say to all the young guys that are many, many, many years younger than us that are out there, working their butt off on and off the field. I think it's great. Go get paid. I'm not in any means saying don't go get your money. I think that you should be paid to an extent. I just think that, like you said, there's got to be some regulation to it. There's got to be something in place to make sure that it doesn't get out of hand. And the same goes with the transfer portal. So very curious to see what happens next year. I'm obviously very locked in. TCU made a new offensive coordinator hire. Welcome to Fort Worth, Coach Gordy Samus. We've got a new strength coach, which leads us into our next topic. I know we wanted to touch on the importance or, just thoughts on what a strength coach can do for a university, for a college football program. I know this obviously we're still talking about college football, but the money that is being invested into strength and conditioning now is so different than it was even 5-10 years ago. TCU just put in a multi-million-dollar recovery room where they can make snow. So like it literally can like snow inside this room, inside their recovery facility. They've got, tons of massage chairs, saunas, cold rooms, ice baths. Like the locker room is nicer than any chair. The chairs in the locker rooms are nicer than any chair I have in my own living room. Like, um, so back to strength and conditioning, right? So like, what are your thoughts? Because TCU just hired a new strength and conditioning coach. They parted ways with Kaz Kazadi, who, is a very long tenured, has a good track record. I know Tennessee also just hired a new strength and conditioning coach. So want to get your thoughts there on kind of what you're thinking.
Well, like, I honestly was wondering that if you are excited or if you're like complaining about the strength and conditioning program, if that's a sign that you might be too big of a fan. You might need to like, as the cool kids say, touch grass or spend more time with your family. But yeah, because I was very excited about Derek Owings taking Indiana's strength coach. And I was like, wait, am I too big of a Tennessee fan that like, well, I was following the coaching search for like the strength coach and like looking at like who Tennessee could possibly get and hearing rumblings that they could get Derek Owings. And I'm like, wait, does like this make me like too big of a fan? Like, is this a sign I need a life or another
Yeah.
hobby? But
So side note, Derek Owings, if you are listening to this podcast, Derek Owings is an incredible human being, super, super good dude. He was actually a member at one of the country clubs that I worked at when he was coaching at JMU. So he played a lot of golf. Derek and I actually played golf together, Jonathan. So if you're listening to this podcast, Derek, we're pumped to have you in Knoxville.
do you have his number still?
What's that?
Do you have his number?
Let me check my phone. I
We
might.
should get him on the podcast.
Let's see. Yeah, I do have Derek's number in my phone still.
Let's text Derek.
I will not share that with listeners and the viewers here. But yeah, Derek's a great guy.
That will hurt our chances of getting him on the podcast actually, but
Derek's a hell of a golfer. I've watched that man play some seriously good golf, and yeah, so just kind of cool personal story. I know him. I knew Mike Shanahan. He was a member at Spotswood. Shout out Spotswood Country Club in Harrisonburg, Virginia. He obviously Shanahan was a JMU coach for a while with Signetti. So I knew Shanny. That was I probably shouldn't call him Shanny on the podcast, but that was what the staff called him. We called him Shanny. But I knew Mike Shanahan. I knew Owings, and Signetti was not a member at Spotswood. But
he does not seem like a country club guy.
yeah, I mean, he played golf. Like I believe at the Duke Club outing, which was like a charity event that we hosted, he would come out for that. But anyways, great group of guys. And I know that we've gotten off topic here, but yeah, Derek Owings, Tennessee strength coach. We're pumped to have him. Are you pumped to have him, Jonathan?
I'm very pumped to have him. I still think like Derek, if you're listening, I do think that if you're that wrapped into the strength and conditioning program, you probably are too. Like, if Derek's a great guy, he'd probably agree. It's like, yeah, Jonathan, you have a baby. You should not be following every aspect of Tennessee football. Like, you can take a break in the winter months and check back in the fall. But no, like, I just read about what he did with Mendoza, and I joke about like being too invested in the strength, but like if you look at every great program, Georgia had a great strength and conditioning coach.
Yeah.
Alabama had a great strength and conditioning like coach, or the head coaches like to give their strength coach a lot of credit because the strength coach actually spends more time with the players than the actual head coach. Like, they're with the player all in the off season, so they're play a huge role in like establishing the culture. And Tony Vitello even said that Coach Q, like his strength coach, he gave him a lot of credit for Tennessee baseball just being like a bunch of dudes. And rest in peace, Tony. I mean, I guess he's not dead. He's in San Francisco, but you'll be missed in Knoxville. But if you watch Tennessee baseball, like I went to a lot of live games, and like Tennessee baseball players just looked big, and it was like noticeable when they played SEC at teams, it wasn't as noticeable, but, like, when they played, like, the lower teams, like, you could tell, like, it was, like, boys versus, like, guys, like, when it was
Right.
and that's just a long-winded way to say that, yeah, I really do agree that, like, strength coaches do establish, like, the culture really well. Every great program that Tennessee's had has had a great strength coach. I mentioned baseball already, but Rick Barnes, strength coach, is also really good. Players really love him, and say what you will about sometimes Tennessee struggles to score, but you would never ever challenge a Rick Barnes team for being tough. And
Right. I would not want to go up against one of your bigs driving to the rim because I would just get absolutely pancaked. But yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying, and I think that like the other thing for me is like a good, and this is obviously a little bit subjective and maybe not the most fair litmus test, but like a good measuring stick, a good litmus test for me is like how often are my players getting injured throughout a season, right? And when injuries occur, is it an ankle sprain, a minor ankle sprain? Is it turf toe, something like that? Or is it something major, right? And I think a good, obviously the injury bug can bite teams, and that's not the, like I said, it's not the most fair litmus test, but I definitely think that teams that have a really good strength and conditioning program don't get as many injuries. And if you don't get as many injuries and you have the same quarterback starting all 12 games, you've got a much better chance to produce results than, losing your quarterback for 2 or 3 games in the middle of the season. Obviously, I know like concussions and things like that are sometimes unavoidable, and that's not really strength and conditioning. But, I might be thinking of the wrong person, but wasn't it Nick Saban used to say that he could tell what kind of player, like what how a player was going to play the game of football based on how the lower half of their body moved and reacted to movement. And I think that is true. I think that's very true. And so you tie strength and conditioning into that. And it just, obviously the fewer injuries you have as a team, the more success you're going to have throughout a season.
yeah, no, I agree. And I say that like it's maybe too much. I'm maybe too balled up for following the strength program, but I mean, I'm still going to do it. Like, I'm going to be excited for when spring practice starts. And it already looks like George McIntyre, Tennessee's probably starting quarterback for next year, like puts on like 10 pounds.
Right.
Like all those videos of like all those players like getting ripped in the gym, like Derek Owens, like first practice, he was talking to the team and like showed videos of them lifting heavy, and I got
Yeah,
kind of fired up. So I
absolutely.
mean, that's honestly the best part about off season is I think off season is mostly vibes and just convincing yourself your team's going to be good. So it is fun to go on social media and see the boys like working in off season. And I can't wait to read the VolQuest stories of how the team chemistry has never been better and how the quarterback is like meeting with his receivers and they're going to the beach to throw the football. Like those are
Yeah,
always great stories.
absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, cool. Well, I think that just about does it. We're gonna do a little shameless plug for a Knoxville local establishment before we get into, we'll call it the back third of our episode. I want to highlight a couple baseball things. We'll teaser of maybe some college baseball, definitely some MLB, and then I think it'll be fun for me to dive into some PGA Tour professional golf stuff before and get Toy's takes, since that's a sport that he is not quite as invested in, and then we'll kind of wrap it up. But Toy, let's get our shameless non-sponsor plug, and maybe, who knows, maybe down the road they'll be open to a sponsorship of the pod. You never know.
Yeah, but this episode is not sponsored by Xul. Xul is not paying us any money to say, but we are giving free advertising to Xul. Xul is a brewery in Knoxville known for their famous PB&J mixtape, along with other delicious sours. Their Mexican lager won the silver medal at some competition for beer. And once again, this doesn't have to be a polished ad because we're not getting paid by Xul to
That's
say
right.
this
That's
can be
right. We
the
just like Xul beer. I've only ever been to Xul once, and I thoroughly enjoyed. I had run a half marathon that morning, and I had a couple PB&J mixtapes. And buddy, let me tell you, they were great. They were delicious. They
They were
go
amazing.
down.
And if
Smooth.
sours aren't your thing, if you say like, I don't think I can, it's too sweet, or I don't think I can drink this delicious drink, well, you're in luck because Zool also has an excellent IPA called Paper Crowns.
Yep. Tasted that. Did not have a full serving, but I had a taster. Delicious. Delicious.
They also have their Mexican beer. Actually, I can figure out what it is by going to my fridge. I'm
Toy's going to
coming
give
back.
us an actual look at it here.
Just wanted to make sure.
Great.
But yeah, it's a Toro Orso.
Love that. I have not had that one yet. I've had a lot of Xul beer. I had some lemon sour that one of Emma's friends gave us. I can't remember the name of it. It was like limoncello sour. That was
And that's my
amazing.
wife's favorite.
Yeah.
But yes, actually, I have the information. They're the 2022 silver winner at the American Beer Festival, the Great American Beer Festival.
GABF, baby. Great American Beer Festival.
I'm
Love it.
also recovering from a cough. So, like I said, this is the first episode. There's going to be some growing pains.
But yeah.
But anyway, Zool, they have 2 locations, maybe 3, but 2 that I know of. The one in East Knoxville off East 5th Avenue. They have one in Hardin Valley. So go to Zool and have a great time. But if you can't make it to their location, they actually sell PB&Js now at Universal Studios. And they're selling PB&J mixtapes at basketball games now, Jackson.
I did not
PB&J
know that. That's exciting.
that started this year. I had a PB&J mixtape during the Tennessee's loss to Kentucky. Loss stunk, but the beer was delicious.
There you go. So
And
what we're saying is a PB&J mixtape will make a win or a loss that much sweeter or that much more sour, but it'll make it better regardless.
that's perfect. And once again, Zool did not pay us a single thing because Zool doesn't know this podcast exists.
But they will one day.
We're going to do free advertising. Next episode, Jackson can do free advertising for one of his favorite establishments in Culpeper, Virginia. But
Absolutely.
Zool is also distributing at Food City. Fun fact.
Did not know that either.
When I thought we were going to get ice in, no, they started this week. Food City had its own end cap of Zool. I got some tiny umbrellas. They
Okay.
didn't have the PB&J mixtape, but I got some Toro Oso, tiny umbrellas, and then like another sour that I can't remember the name, but that was a cinnamon apple lemon tart sour. It's called the Mummin Tart. So another
Nice.
good beer.
That sounds delicious.
Another good beer. So, yep, Zool did not pay us to say this, and this episode is not sponsored by Zool. This is just totally free advertising. Yeah, and if Zool ever does decide to sponsor us, they don't have to go back and pay us for this. This free ad is on the house. So, if you're in Knoxville, please be sure to visit Zool. Did they expand the patio? Like when you guys came last February?
Yeah, they had. It was pretty great.
Yeah. The biggest issue with Zool was that it was too good. Like it was too crowded. Every time you went
Yep.
there, Jessica and I would like basically buy 4-packs. Like we didn't like sitting there because you couldn't sit there. It was like so
Yeah.
crowded that.
Well, we
But-
went after the Tennessee Vandy game last February and it was slammed.
Yeah, and like that's how it is every weekend. But now that they expanded their patio, there's
Right.
plenty of seating. It's still packed. And also they have the Abridged food truck there at all times. So get
Which is
yourself an Abridged
delicious.
burger, PB&J mixtape.
Yep. Delicious.
Yep, delicious. Just great life decisions if you go
Yeah.
to Zool.
Jonathan and I are amateur craft beer enjoyers, that's for sure. You never know. You might even see us enjoying a cold beverage on the pod every now and then. I shoveled snow all day and was exhausted, so no cold beverages for me tonight, but that's not to say that in the future you might see us enjoying one here and there. Especially, who knows, we might meet up for a live pod here in a couple weeks when I'm in Knoxville to visit not only Jonathan and his wife Jessica, but Jared running the 1s and 2s and his wife and their family. So could be a fun opportunity to all get together and do a live pod and enjoy a cold beer.
And the good news is that we don't even have to go to Zool if we don't want to. Jared and Kaylee live pretty. I don't know if I should. I don't. Kaylee doesn't mind if I mention her name.
We've
But
already
Jared-
mentioned so many people, including last names for multiple people. So, I mean, it's totally fine.
We're good.
Yeah, like no one's
We're
listening to this anyway.
Nobody
Outside
is.
of our
Yeah,
neighbor.
no, we'll scrub all of it anyways. I mean, believe it or not, the website is already up. Do we lose Toy?
No,
I'm still here.
No,
he's still
the
here.
website is already up. The Spotify account is set up. The Apple Podcast account is set up. iHeartRadio is set up. Amazon Music is pending. There's an Instagram account. We have emails officially. All of this for the low cost of $0 because it's what I do. I'm a computer scientist. But the sad thing is the first episode to get most of these set up is using Toy's 23-second test video. So we will be sure to remove that. But
you're gonna have about an hour and 15 minutes of pure gold to work with here in about 15 minutes, Jared.
I also don't want you to edit anything. Well, when we sarcastically
I
say
wasn't,
anything,
yeah, I was only gonna edit like my part where I said a few words that Kaylee's gonna be like, Jared, I told you you can't have this podcast, you idiot. I mean, that's the thing. I listen to Talk Sports with John Reed and Cody McLaurin, Fan on Radio in Knoxville, and they'll say, "Oh, cut that from the podcast, blah blah," and he never cuts it. It's always in there. So,
yeah,
but they're never
that's
saying
what's
it
funny.
crazy.
I
Okay,
thought
so
that
it's
the
on
Euphorian
purpose.
were you said one questionable thing, and I said you were in danger of getting muted, and we'd edit that out later.
He was talking about Euphoria.
And
Well, I
that's
was
like,
just listening. I was just watching SNL, and there was a sketch about it, so it was kind of up in my head.
I don't plan on watching Euphoria. I
I've
haven't
not
right
seen
now.
it
I'll be
before.
watching
I'm not
Bluey.
watching it.
I will
Yeah.
say this: if anybody watched SNL this past Saturday, the band Geese performed. It was not great. Much more of
I thought you were going to be total opposite taking that because I watched part of that, and I'm like, this is like a Jackson band. This is
No,
like
I'm a
get up
Goose
there.
fan, man. Goose over Geese. If you're not familiar
they-
with Goose, go check out Goose. Shameless plug.
They just dress like Jackson. They look like they gave
No,
Jackson
not
vibes.
quite.
Like,
They're in the we'll call it the jam band scene. But no, it's good music.
okay, at some point in this podcast, we have to talk about your Weezer obsession.
Yeah, we'll get to that. That'll be like
Sure.
episode 15 or 20. All right, Toy. Let's get into our back third here. We're at an hour and 7 minutes. So
Yeah.
these topics are quick. Obviously in discussing our respective fandoms, I mentioned that my two biggest or my two favorite professional sports are MLB and then professional golf. So I thought it would be fun it doesn't necessarily have to be at the end of every podcast, but just at some point to do a little breakdown of kind of what's going on in the MLB world, what's going on in potentially even the college baseball world. So little we'll call it like the baseball minute, and then what's going on in the world of golf. So as a Yankees fan, big deal signing Bellinger. It was made official on the Yankees Instagram, I believe, today. 5 years, 165 million opt-outs after year 3 and year 4. Don't quote me on that. I think I have the details right. This was absolutely necessary for the Yankees. If this had fallen through and Bellinger had gone anywhere other than back to the Bronx, I was going to be absolutely irate. You can ask my wife. The lead up, I was glued to Twitter, glued to the app formerly known as Twitter, X, and just absolutely listening to podcasts, listening to anything I could, reading as much as I could as to what was going to happen with Cody Bellinger. Yes, the Yankees are essentially running back the exact same offense that they had last year. Is that a bad thing? No, I don't think it's a bad thing. I hope that we get a little bit more contact hitting. I think that this is a great signing. I want more. They really maybe need a righty bat in there somewhere, and they really need pitching. I don't know, there's arguments to be made for bullpen. There's arguments to be made for starting pitching. You're going to get, towards the middle of the season where, with injuries and things like that, like the pitching will be, hopefully, knock on wood, will get better. But, that being said, I think that Cashman still needs to do some cooking with Steinbrenner, and they need to figure out what the final pieces are to this Yankees puzzle, whether that's a trade. There's obviously not a ton of free agents left out there after Bellinger got signed. Kyle Tucker obviously got signed. There were some other pretty big signings last week, but just really happy that Cody Bellinger. I'm a big Bellinger fan. Told my wife Emma I'll probably be ordering a Bellinger jersey for this upcoming season. Um, so yeah, just the consistency. He's got a no trade clause as well, which is I think good. So Bellinger's going to be in the Bronx. I know you don't watch a ton of MLB, but I assume you're at least familiar with Cody Bellinger. I mean, former All-Star. You have any thoughts on the Bellinger signing with New York, Toy?
I just hope he does well because I want to see you happy.
Yeah, I do
So,
too.
yeah,
I could go for like contact hitting, 30 home runs. The defense is outstanding. So I'm pumped. I really am. I'm going to be really, really, really excited when we get some of our pitching back, and it should be about May when we get some of that starting pitching back too. So that'll be really good. And like I said, if we could pick up one more piece to the puzzle, I'll feel really good. There's a lot of people who are asking, well, what's going to happen with Spencer Jones and what's going to happen with the outfield? And you've got, like I said, you're essentially running back the same team. If I pull up the roster real quick, give me just a minute. See if I can pull the 40-man roster. Obviously, like they signed Ryan Weathers. I don't hate that. Here we go. Yankees.
Ryan Weathers was from my wife's hometown,
No way, really?
Loretto.
I love
My mother-in-law taught him.
that.
We should get him on the pod. I'm
Yeah.
texting Jessica now.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously getting Garrett Cole back, like Max Fried will be great. But let me see here.
Texting, would Ryan Weathers want to be on the podcast?
But the other big question is obviously like what are we going to do with Jason Dominguez and things like that. But I don't know. I am very, very, very excited for the upcoming Yankee season. I think it's going to be good. I just hope that with what the Dodgers are doing, I mean, obviously with Kyle Tucker going to LA, that's big. And, there's arguments to be made about Kyle Tucker. There's a lot of different arguments to be made. Kyle Tucker plays ball though. Kyle Tucker's a good baseball player. He's a well-rounded player. He brings good defense. He's got good offense. He's a good baseball player. So the Dodgers are not going to be bad. The Blue Jays are not going to be bad. Baltimore got better. The Yankees are essentially right now the same team as last year. We'll see what happens. Obviously spring training and everything's right around the corner, and we're going to be playing spring ball here, towards the middle end of February. So it's going to be interesting to see. I'm super pumped up. I need to do some more reading on potential moves. I've been a little bit out of the loop at the start of this week. I was very glued to all the boards though at the end of last week with the re-signing of Cody Bellinger. So welcome back to New York, Cody. We're pumped to have you. Thank you for not going down to Queens, because who wants to live in Queens?
Not me.
I don't want to live in Queens. Flushing Meadows, all that area, I'm good. I'll stick with the Bronx.
I'd probably prefer to live in Manhattan if I had the money.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, but
But yeah,
Yankee Stadium, baby. There's no place like it. All right, and obviously college baseball's coming up. We'll be playing ball here very soon. Both of our universities have arguably very good, relevant college baseball programs. I think they're both ranked in the top 10 as well preseason.
yeah. I think Tennessee was 15th in a couple of polls, but
Okay. I saw you guys as high as number 7 in one poll.
yeah, there's like 5 different baseball polls I've learned.
Yeah.
The big one is D1.
Yeah,
D1.
D1. Let's see if it's out yet. I saw TCU was number 9 in one of the polls and number 11 in the other ones. Let's see what D1 has everybody at.
Shout out D1, read their stuff. Shout out Kendall Rogers. That's the main guy. Aaron Fitt also covers baseball. He does a pretty good job.
Let's see. D1 has Tennessee at 14.
Boom, I remembered. I was close.
They've got TCU at 10. Let's see. Yeah, so that's where we're at there. But yeah, we'll probably have a, it will not be as long as this pod, but we will have a college baseball preview pod in the next, before the season starts for sure. I think that would be fun to dive into, look at a little bit about what we can expect for some non-con conference games, and then once conference play starts, it's always exciting.
If you have trouble sleeping, I recommend watching a Tennessee non-conference game because they notoriously schedule just the worst non-conference. Like, their non-conference is a grind to get through. Like, they'll play one of those preseason tournaments and then,
Yeah.
well, just play really bad teams the rest of the way because they know they're going to get tested in the SEC, and it's paid up every year. I don't know if Elander's going to continue that. I think that
Yeah.
might have been just been a Tony thing, but yeah, Tony's non-conference scheduling left a lot to be desired. And yeah, like just thinking about some of the non-conference games I attended, I'm getting tired. So we might need to change the subject.
Yeah, TCU does the same thing, but all right, well, cool. Well, let's jump into our last topic here before we wrap things up for the inaugural pod of the non-ball knowers, the not so ball knowers. My bad. We're playing PGA Tour golf again. A lot of
Yeah.
news in the professional golf world. I'm sure you saw a couple weeks ago, Jonathan. Brooks Koepka leaving Live Golf to sign with the PGA Tour again. Well, not sign, but to rejoin the PGA Tour. Not without penalty. Around a $5 million charitable fine had to be paid, and he basically cannot participate in the tour's player equity program for a decent amount of time. Estimates on financial loss there upwards of like 50 million, I think is what they're kind of estimating, in the ballpark of 50. So not without penalty. I think it's great to see Brooks back playing on what I view as the more competitive tour. I have my issues with Live. I'm excited to be able to watch. Selfishly, I'm excited to be able to watch Brooks Koepka play more consistent golf on, you know, on streaming services and on networks that are easy to watch. It's been, you know, notoriously difficult at times to watch Live Golf. I don't watch a ton of Live. I obviously keep up with who's winning the Live events because I very much care about the professional golf world. But I'm pumped. I think it's good. Obviously, Brooks is a very accomplished player, having won 5 majors. I do not think he's done. He's young. I mean, he's only 35 years old. He's in great shape, So I think this could be the start of a return to form. I know Brooks was not in playing the best golf of his career towards the end of last year. He had some high finishes in some Live events, but not a ton of success. So I'm excited. He actually will make his season debut this week at Torrey Pines for the Farmers Insurance Open. So I will be glued to my TV Thursday. We'll see if I'm back in the office by then, but I will at least be glued to my phone one way or another, keeping up with his round. But I think the more important topic to get to here is Scotty Scheffler doing Scotty Scheffler things. And
Love Scotty Scheffler.
he's just, no matter how you look at it, how you divide it up, he is.
Wait, real quick. Sorry to interrupt. He's the one that
You're
leads.
good.
He's the one that leads the tour Bible study, right?
I don't know if he leads it, but he's very involved in it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I had the right player in mind. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
Scott Scheffler. What a
Yeah.
great guy.
Yeah, Scotty's great, obviously like very, family man, he's won a bunch of majors as well and has a chance to compete the career Grand Slam this year. And what's just, it's like, I don't know. We always wonder year to year, like, does this level of play that he has now had for the last 3 to 4 years, is it going to translate? Is it going to continue? We see players get hot all the time, Toy. I mean, think about Jordan Spieth when he checked off a couple majors back in 2014. Think about, obviously Rory McIlroy outside of his Masters win this past year, like, those initial 4 majors that he won, like, happened in like a 2-3 year period. Like, players don't stay are not notoriously known unless you're Tiger Woods, right? Play or Phil Mickelson in his prime. Players just don't stay hot for, more than 18 months to 2 years, 3 years max. And we're getting to a point now with Scotty Scheffler that it seems to be sustainable. And that's scary, man. Like if he can do what he did yesterday, which he was like, it's almost like he just chokes the rest of the field out of contention. He didn't even hit the ball necessarily particularly like perfect yesterday either. And I took the quintessential you know, after Sunday afternoon, 45-minute lazy chair nap during the front nine, but I was locked into a good chunk of that back nine. And he was hitting flip wedges to 3 or 4 feet and just making every single putt from that distance. And it's not like he was making long bombs. He was just hitting it close and making short putts. And, next thing you know, he wins by 3 or 4 shots. And if he does that, shit, if he does that 3 or 4 more times this year and one of those is a major, we're talking about multiple seasons in a row that are very Tiger-like. And I think that it's time to have the discussion. Is Scotty Scheffler? I don't want to curse the guy. I don't want to put any bad vibes on him or anything. But I think it's time to have the discussion. Is Scotty Scheffler at a level that we need to have the conversation that he could be rising to the level of a Tiger Woods?
Yeah, I think that's a fair as someone who knows very little to nothing about golf, I'm fine with having that conversation. Does he have a career? This For the record, I know very little about golf.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Does he have a career Grand Slam?
He does not. So he will get a chance to win the career Grand Slam this summer with the US Open. So will be his shot at the career Grand Slam. So, obviously people will be very, very invested in that. Jordan Spieth will also have a chance to win the career Grand Slam this year. He's had several chances at the PGA Championship. Um, but like Rory McIlroy, I would say right now is maybe the more accomplished player, but Rory's also, 5 or 6 years older than Scotty is. And Rory's been very successful. Rory just hasn't, obviously Rory hasn't won as many majors as a Tiger Woods, but Rory's just been consistently good. He's going to at least win a couple PGA Tour events, maybe a DP World Tour event every season. But what's crazy is Scotty's not only winning 2 or 3 PGA Tour events, he's winning a major, it seems like. And it's just, I don't know, man. It's going to be wild to see. I am so thoroughly pumped to watch professional golf this year. I think Rory will win another major this year. That's my hot take of this upcoming season in professional golf. I think Scotty wins a major. I don't know if it will be the US Open to complete the Grand Slam. I could see him winning at Augusta, something like that. But I do think that he will win a major. And I think that there's 15 to 20 other players. We just saw Blades Brown this weekend, 18 years old, doesn't even primarily play on the PGA Tour yet. He's still mostly on the Korn Ferry Tour. Go out and just absolutely, I wouldn't say he went toe for toe because toe to toe because he finished tied for 19th or something like that. But we're talking about an 18-year-old kid who's out there, playing great golf, and there's 20 other players who are younger than Scotty, younger than Rory, who all have the potential to challenge him and to make that leap.
Yeah, I'm excited to actually watch more golf this year as someone who, as my golf fandom is watching the 4 majors. I'm excited to, or if that's the only majors, or that's the
Hey,
only golf.
Jared, can you put your mic on mute? We can hear your keyboard.
It's okay.
Yeah, well,
People
I
could
can
probably
also
tell I'm
hear you. Yeah,
I was just gonna say people can probably tell I've been like sucking cough drops the last couple of
Yeah, I'm gonna. The problem is my mic is right there, but I was gonna say, Toy, turn on echo cancellation in your people settings. Trying to figure out how much of this I should leave. This is just fun stuff. I'm right now currently trying to fight the fact that all these podcast hosting places say Jared Smith under it, and even though I put Not So Ball Knowers, so I don't want my name out there as the author of it, so I'm dealing with that. But
Gotcha.
um, see if I type here, does this here now? If I type, do you hear that?
Yeah,
yeah,
Damn it!
it sounds okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna fix it. I'll fix it.
it's all good.
I don't even care. Well, yeah,
I care.
probably
I'll fix it.
probably sounds like I have a list, but it's either that or me hacking up alone during this call while Jackson was explaining, giving off his PJ Hot Tour
I
take.
I was gonna ask if you guys had talked. I mean, PGA. I'm really the Masters is what I get excited about, which we need to do our little draw this year.
Yeah,
But what about
absolutely.
that one that like fancy big golf VR looking thing they did the other day? Did you guys talk about that yet?
Yeah, that was going to be our last golf topic is TGL, the indoor
Some Happy
simulator league.
Gilmore 2 kind of stuff right there is what
Yeah.
that looked like.
It's interesting. I think the concept is cool. I think it's fun to be able to watch, and I've watched it. I don't watch every TGL. I missed tonight's. There was a 7 o'clock match tonight. I do watch some. I don't watch all. I think it's enjoyable. I think it's cool. It's a cool product to be able to watch the pros do something other than play golf on a golf course. Toy, you should watch one so that we can have a little bit more of a discussion about it sometime. But yeah, I mean, it's cool. But I also think at the same time, it's kind of bad. I really enjoy watching it, but it's got some just absolutely glaring flaws that I think that they're taking feedback. There's been some changes from last season to this season. So I don't have a ton to say about it right now, other than that, it's kind of a cute novelty professional golf product that I think will continue to get better. But where it's at right now, it doesn't move the needle a ton for me, other than giving me something to watch on a Monday night when I might not be watching, unless TCU's playing on Big Monday. I'm probably not locked into sports on a Monday night. But if TGL's on, I'm probably gonna at least tune in and watch. If Rory's playing, I just like watching Rory swing a golf club, so I'll turn it on to watch that.
No, I hear what you're saying, and I hate to change the subject, but I have breaking news.
Yeah,
You know Ryan Weathers, future Yankee, right?
yeah.
I texted my wife, would Ryan Weathers want to be on the podcast? She texted back, I honestly have no clue. I haven't ever spoken to him. So then I messaged back, can you get your mom to ask him? So I don't know like what your takeaway from that exchange is, but I think we're about to have Ryan Weathers on this podcast.
So what you're saying is I should probably send a text to Derek Owings and see if we can get him on the pod too.
Yeah, tell him that no one listens to this, so he won't have to worry about saying anything UT won't, and that we'll just loft to a bunch of softballs.
That sounds great.
It's like
That's
I
all.
do think actually don't tell him this. He just got here, so he may not know the rules, but like I do think with when I was there, like UT, you had to get like every interview like approved. Like I was about to interview, like I kind of knew a offensive lineman from class, and like I was gonna interview him, and like he was like, no, you have to like formally request it. Like I could get in trouble, but don't tell Derek that. Like maybe Derek doesn't know that, and then he'll do the podcast, and UT will never know because no one will ever listen to.
I love it. I love it. Well, I don't want to get Derek in trouble, but yeah,
He won't.
this what?
He won't get in trouble. Like if they say, "Oh, you
I know.
next time," just say like, "Yeah, I did." He could just say, "I did a friend a favor." Like they're not going to be like upset that he went on like
Right.
a
Right, right,
podcast
right.
no one listens to.
I love it. I love it. That's about all I got toy from a golf standpoint. I don't know if you have anything before we wrap things up and get to regrouping for our next episode, which will, I'm sure, only be an improvement from this one.
Yeah, I feel like this was we gave a solid C effort tonight. Jared, before you post, I just realized when I went to get my beer, when I did our free promo of Xul, which they're selling at Food City, by the way. I don't think I was able to finish that thought, but you and your wife can get Xul now pretty easily. But when I went to
Wait,
get
are we sponsored already? Is that what's going on?
no, we're doing free
Free
ads.
advertising. We want Xul to sponsor us.
Okay, nice.
We're gonna find a company and give them free advertising.
I
Local
think
businesses.
you were walking your dog when we were doing our Xul.
Okay.
Plug. But yeah, we're gonna give plugs to local businesses that we love. They deserve free advertising, and we're gonna do it. I was gonna say that when I went to the fridge to get the Xul beer, can you just like maybe closely watch that mark? I think it was around the hour mark because the sweatpants I'm wearing aren't like they're pretty loose. So like I don't want to accidentally like, moon our like our 5 listeners. Like I don't want them to be endured that. So think I made sure my pants were everything was in the right place, but I get
I
paranoid.
didn't say anything, Jonathan. I think you're good, man.
Okay, good because these sweatpants are very loose. I had them back when I was like in my morbidly obese days in college, so they're comfortable, but I only wear them around the house.
There you go. No shame, man. No shame. It's all good.
But I wanted to wrap up, Jackson, and Jared, you can chime in. Like, I'm actually wondering, like, who the friends that will actually listen to this podcast. Like, I kind of want to name them and like take guesses who will actually listen to this.
Hopefully, most people in our group chat. I think Nick will. I think Joe will. I think Sam will.
See,
Yeah.
Jared, I disagree. Like, I think Nick will like listen to the first 5 minutes and he'll turn to Summer and be like, "This is really cringe," and then like turn it off. Like he'll like
He
go
won't
back.
even get here. Yeah, he won't even. Dude, I can't. Yeah, I mean, I have a friend that we just went skiing with. That Joe came on that trip. Michael Bowie. I think he'll listen to it because we're talking about doing a podcast on tech and AI crap.
I'm wondering, Joe. Joe just seems like he would be too busy, or he would just forget to listen to it.
He's
He's like,
he's 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 very knowledgeable in sports. He'd be a good guest to actually have some time about the sports betting sort of world since we played around there.
I would love to have Joe on our podcast. Yeah, no, Joe
I
might
think we
actually.
got to. Yeah, we got to start with the nobodies, given that we're also nobodies, and then work our way up to people like your friend's brother or son, something that's like some, famous person for Tennessee. Maybe we get some G League players in here. If we can get that guy from Alabama that just got destroyed by Tennessee, that would be good. Bediako or something.
I have some football coaches in Texas that I'm like seriously think they would go. They would definitely go on because I'm friends with them, and he is a head coach now at a pretty big school, and like
Will
just
Emma listen to this? Emma and
Oh yeah,
Jessica?
Emma will listen to this. Yeah, she works from home, so she's always queuing up pods and good stuff to listen to when she's working. And I mean, I know that I'm going to shamelessly plug it to people at work. I mean, there's a lot of golfers and people who watch sports at my place of work, and so I've got some people up there, some more coworkers than anything, not necessarily members. But yeah, I mean, I've got some of my, Jared, some of the people that you met from my wedding. Gus is a big sports guy. Eli's a big sports guy. They'll both listen.
Rob will definitely listen because he just became a new dad. Congrats to
Yeah.
Rob and his wife on their beautiful baby girl.
Should we send this to I think we should hold off Toy and sending to. Or what do you think about Reed's Ranch? I feel like they're gonna
No,
DDoS the
do not.
website.
They will not want to listen to this.
Yeah, that not yet.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, well,
Once we get our kinks ironed out, we can start pitching it to more people. But
I
yeah,
thought you said once we get our kinks out or our hose. Are you laying your hose out here, Jackson?
that's what I'm
Once we do
saying.
that, yeah, once the hose is
Like
laid
a
out,
kink in a garden hose. Like once we get the kinks out of the garden hose, we'll be back to, where we need to be.
Yeah,
perfect.
like I only really want my closest friends listening to the first episode if we're being honest. But no, I was just gonna say like Rob will definitely listen to this because when you're a new parent, you watch and listen to things at those late nights that you never thought you actually would. I watched a lot of Impractical Jokers when Silas was a newborn.
Yeah.
And then
Well, to all the listeners who've made it, stuck with us to the hour and 37-minute mark, Thank you. But boys, I think it's time to wrap up episode 1.
Oh yeah, I think my cat agrees.
Jared, thank you for running the ones and twos. Jonathan, great job. I'll let you, you're commissioner, so I'll let you send us out here.
All right, everyone, have a great night and continue watching sports, and you'll hear from us again, hopefully. Thank you, everybody.